Welcome to Streams of Income with self-help author Ryan Rieger. For the next hour, you'll hear proven methods for how to live the multiple income streams dream. Ryan is passionate about helping others discover their gifts and start their own business. He's published 5 books, and his courses and group coaching programs have changed the lives of thousands of students all over the world. Ryan's books include Private Label, The Easy Way, Finding Your Grace Place, and his latest, Streams of Income. And now, here's your host, Ryan Rieger.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Streams of Income radio show. I'm your host, Ryan Rieger, and today we are chatting with my friend and returning guest, Jimmy Smith. In this episode, we both reveal some very big news for our businesses. In essence, you want to get in Legends now because there's going to be a price increase and the group is about to get a whole lot better than it ever has been. And for those of you that are new to this show, Legends is it's called Business Building Legends, and it's a community where we teach people how to make money on Amazon, but also outside of Amazon as well. And it's going to get significantly better, and the price is going to increase significantly. Go to askjimmysmith.com/legends, askjimmysmith.com/legends before June 1st. Of 2023, because that's when the price is going to increase. And you can learn more about why in this episode. But some really, really cool news for both of us in this business, or in this episode. We talk about Jimmy and his experience with a little bit with Amazon, but also more about how he was interested in buying and selling businesses and that journey and a story that involves both of us, that you'll learn more in this episode. But here is my interview with Jimmy. Jimmy, welcome back to Streams of Income.
Hey, Ryan, thank you so much. Excited to be here. It's been a while.
Has it been a while? I should look back and see when the last time you were on here.
Yeah, right. I think it's been a while. I don't know. I guess
the last episode was when you recorded it from Starbucks.
Oh, okay. Well, then it hasn't
talking
been
about it was January 13th, and it's what Jimmy sees as the future for Amazon sellers for 2023 and beyond.
Okay, I thought it was longer than that, but yeah, I remember that episode now. It was in Florida.
The things you said in those episodes. Now we're May. We're 4 months beyond that. Were you right?
I honestly don't remember what I said in that episode. I'd have to look. Wouldn't surprise me if I was right, and it wouldn't surprise me if I was wrong.
About it too. It was like 5. You did a video about 5 things for Amazon for 2023.
Yep, I remember it. I just have to remember exactly what I said in that video. I could go find out real quick.
No, it's really okay.
Well, everybody go back and check it out and see if I was right. Let us know.
Right, we'll put a link to that episode. Episode 179, January 13th, 2023. We talked about AI on that episode.
Yeah. Which I was right about that. And there's a lot of AI stuff coming, whether, depending on your own personal beliefs and politics surrounding it, if you set that aside, there's still a lot of AI stuff coming. And I've been doing different things with that as well. So, and I know you have too. So
I have, the software, the AI translation software. Do you see, I think Danny was always saying, like, there's going to be a point when AI will be able to, like, you would be able to have on like the Google glasses, for example, and you'd be able to do retail arbitrage, and it would like be able to scan for you, kind of like you could look at an aisle of products, and it would awesome. It had somehow like highlight the good ones, because it could see everything and very quickly tell you which ones were profitable based on your parameters.
That would be pretty cool. I mean, I could see it getting to that point. It wouldn't surprise me at all. I mean, they probably have technology that could do it now. It's just, it's not out there that I know of.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could see it doing that.
Could that be an add-on to Replan Dashboard, where you now we have the put on these special glasses and just walk in the store, entering your parameters, and it'll mark like a green check mark.
Oh, right. It would almost be like one of those automatic beeping scanners that you used to have, for arbitrage back in the day. Granted, I think some people still use that.
Yeah, with the gloves?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, you could do all kinds of stuff. So that'd be a great add-on to Replan Dashboard. Sounds expensive, but we could probably...
Should you and I create... Maybe we should go and look for a developer for that technology.
We should. Although if you can source products automatically with glasses, you probably should use that technology for better things that would help the world a little bit more. But it's all right. We'll start with the arbitrage, and then we'll expand from there.
That's crazy.
That'd be awesome.
Wow. Well, I think AI is very fascinating. So,
Yeah,
um,
I
cool. We
agree.
both have some big news. I
Mhm.
saw your email today that I knew you were going to send out.
Yep.
Both of us have a major announcement that affects both of us.
Mhm.
I'll spill the beans and we'll talk about it. But essentially, Jimmy bought the Legends Group from me,
Yep.
and how cool it is to have somebody who's I can call you a student, but it sounds weird because like I always say you far surpass anything I've ever done on Amazon, and then you bought the business and you're going to take it. I know you're going to take it to a level that I could not have envisioned. So
Oh, thank you.
that's fun.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. It's crazy. I know that I've said it on the podcast before. I've said it on webinars before, but you have been the, I guess, biggest shift in my life every time. So I've had the
Wow.
replens course, well, Legends, and then the replens course, and then multiple things since then, and then also this. So it's
Wow.
been pretty crazy
Crazy.
how it's all. I still remember the first conversation, or one of the first conversations I had with you at a Legends conference,
I remember
asking
too.
when I should
It was
quit
in
my
the
job.
doorway at the Hilton, right?
Yep,
That
exactly.
you were talking about your insurance job, right? And you were
Yep,
thinking about quitting.
exactly. And so that was one of the first major ones. And I was nervous to talk to you at the time because you were the leader of the group, one of them. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty crazy to think back on those days.
Wow. When did you I know you've had an interest in buying and selling businesses. How did that so guys, we'll tell you the more of the story around how we came to this. But
Yeah.
when you first learn about you can actually buy and sell a business, and when did you start digging into that?
Well, I've known about it for a long time, but I probably started digging into it about a year ago, maybe a little bit
Okay.
less than that. Well, no, it's probably about a year ago whenever I started looking.
Yeah.
And I looked at a few different businesses, actually offline. That was the main thing that I was looking for since I did so many things online. I was like, well, maybe diversify, get some stuff offline, and
Sure.
use my online knowledge to bring products to that are selling in regular stores to
Yeah.
Amazon as well and add in revenue streams. And while I still think that's a great idea, now I have different focuses. But
Mhm.
I've looked at the time, I think it was nursery, like a treehouse gardening
Yeah.
nursery. I looked at that. Looked at a tire shop really seriously.
Yeah.
Looked at landscaping companies and a
Okay.
few other ones too that are
Yeah.
just kind of slipping
When
my
you say
mind.
you looked at them, was that like a call with the owner, or what was that?
So
What that look like practically?
I had two calls with owners. So whenever I say looked at them, I mean I got information. I signed non-disclosure agreements or
Mm-hmm.
NDAs to get financial information and whatnot. And I had two calls with owners. I think one was on a print shop
Okay.
that printed different materials,
Yeah.
and then the other one I had a call with an owner was a tire shop.
Mm-hmm.
Also, that one I visited in person, and
Yeah.
so that one was moving forward. And I don't know if I should get to it just now, but 2 days before you reached out to me about Legends was whenever I decided not to do the tire shop. So
Wow.
yeah, it was pretty crazy, but it's funny how it works out
That
sometimes,
is
and I'm glad
crazy.
that it did because I 2 days
Absolutely.
before almost potentially could have signed something, saying that I was intending to purchase a tire shop that I know nothing about. But the beauty of buying businesses, and just to kind of come back to why I was interested in it, I know Josh Tolley. I don't know if you've ever had Josh on your show,
I
but I know
have
you've had
not.
him at
I
Legends
should.
conferences. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Josh has a business called, and this isn't necessarily a shameless plug, but it's Kingsbridge Brokers, and I help him with this podcast of acquisitional wealth.
Mm.
And so I was learning about these things through Josh Tolley,
Yeah.
and it's really, in looking at it, is one of the better ways to build wealth if you've
Mm-hmm.
got the finances to do it. And you don't need the finances
Right.
necessarily. There are creative
Right.
solutions to it,
Yeah.
but it's with how many eyes, as we both saw, look at a business deal before it's purchased. There are way more hoops to jump through to get an approved business purchase than there
Yeah.
are for real estate or for investing in the stock market or anything else.
Yes.
I mean, you've got
Yeah.
lawyers, brokers, bankers, accountants, everybody checking off on these purchases before it goes through. And so it's
Mm-hmm.
actually very high likelihood of succeeding if you buy the right types of
Mm.
businesses, and you just have to find those types of businesses.
Yeah.
And so do some research and check into it, but I think that it's one of the best ways to build wealth
Mm-hmm.
because if you ever, and I know I'm just going to go on a rant now, but
this is good.
If you think about business building and streams of income and all of this, I'm big on streams of income. Obviously, you are too. We're on Streams of Income Radio. But the hardest part is the beginning, right? The hardest part is trying to learn and trying to grow and acquire customers and continue to grow and scale. But if you buy a business that's doing revenue and has people working for it and employees or assistants, whatever, then you're taking over something that's already working. And day one, there can be revenue coming into the business if you're buying the right thing. Whereas if you're trying to build something new, it could be a few months or years, depending on how that goes for you. So to me, I love it. The opportunity to build wealth through businesses. That's my future goals, is to do that. And but Legends is my main focus right now, as it should be, because this needs to succeed for me to ever be able to buy more businesses. You know? So
there may be other creative ways. I'd love to talk to you about what you would see as and I know you're not ready to buy another business yet, but what if you were ready, what type of businesses would make sense to add on to what Legends is? Let's talk about that here in a second, but let's tell the story. And then however we want to go about it. But in October, I had two guys on this podcast. Let me find this episode. It was actually October 14th. I had Joe Pergolesi and Matt Perkins on. They, I mean, Jimmy, you have a podcast too. And so you probably get people emailing you, hey, I'd love to be a guest on your show. And 90% of the time it's probably not a fit. And so usually those emails just get deleted. I'll read through them or look real quickly. But for this one, I thought, oh, interesting. So it was actually Joe who reached out, I think through LinkedIn, and was asking about coming on Streams of Income to talk about buying and selling businesses. So I looked up what Website Closers was, and I thought, oh, very cool. I don't think at that point I'd had anybody on to talk about buying and selling a business. So I said, yes, let's do it. And I didn't know Matt was going to be on too. So Matt ended up being on the same episode. And we had the conversation. We talked about you could actually buy and sell an Amazon business. And I learned in that episode, you could actually buy and sell an arbitrage business, which I always thought with Amazon, it'd have to be private label only. Just would be easier to sell that type of business. But they told me, no, you could actually sell an arbitrage business. So anybody listening that has an arbitrage business that you want to kind of explore that, I'll put the link for Website Closers. You could talk to them. But I had them on the show. We ended the recording, and I somehow I think either in the interview we talked about memberships, or I just thought, hey, I'd asked them if they'd ever sold a membership before, because I was thinking, I wonder if the Legends Group would even be sellable. Can you sell something like that? So we talked, and they said absolutely. They had done that before. I said, what would it be? What would it be worth? And they started asking me some financial, very just exploratory, like I was talking to a realtor, and they were pulling quick comps, for example. They gave me some numbers of what they thought, based on the numbers I gave them, what it could potentially sell for. And I thought, oh, fantastic, that sounds really cool. Didn't have any idea. Within a few days of that, I went ahead and signed an agreement. It would be like the same agreement you would sign with a realtor, giving them like the sole permission to list your house for sale. So it was like sticking a sign in the yard of Legends. And they had me write up a whole bunch of questions. They asked a whole bunch of questions so that they created this PDF that they could post on their or to create the listing on the site. But then they had to have that document that somebody signed, the prospective buyer signs after signing an NDA. So it was like a presentation about the group and what it was and this financials. And at that point, we started getting lots and lots of inquiries. And I was on a few calls, but I think soon after, I don't even think I had a call, but soon after we listed it, I just sensed the Lord telling me, you need to tell Jimmy about this. I knew that you had an interest in buying and selling businesses. And so I reached out to you on Facebook Messenger, told you what I was doing. And you said you would have been upset to know that you would have been upset if I would have sold the group to somebody else without giving you the opportunity, which I totally agree. And you were the perfect person to buy it. So long story short, I introduced you to to Matt and Joe, and you already had a business broker you were working with, so they got together, and that was, I think, in November. Was that like late November or early December?
It was November.
That introduction happened, and we closed on Thursday, May
11th.
Yep.
May 11th.
So it was a kind of an up and down thing. We can go into that as much as or as little as you want to, but I just know that you're the perfect person for it, and honored to pass it on to you, because you'll take it to a different level. So
well, I appreciate it. And I know that one thing too, that you mentioned that you had signed an agreement with them to represent your business. I had prior signed an agreement with, my broker, Kingsbridge Brokers, to find me a business. And so I gave them parameters of what I was looking for.
Interesting.
And
so it was his job to go out and look for businesses for you?
Yeah, exactly. And then to help me with the whole process.
Okay.
Because I
was he actually sending you leads?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So I was getting sent these things, which is why I had specific parameters of how much, I wanted to afford, what kind of revenue and seller discretionary earnings, or, what as a buyer I could expect to make, all of these parameters that I was looking for. And so they would send me, I guess, different deals that were posted. And sometimes they would be offline, like things that aren't currently listed anywhere. And other times there were things that are currently listed. But we got very close a couple of times. And then when you reached out, I was like, well, I'm working with a broker already. So let's, What
was your thought when you got that fake? I think it was a long voice note that I sent you. Would you remember listening to that and what your thought was?
I was super excited about it. I don't remember the exact thought process. Besides, I am glad that it wasn't sold to someone outside of the community.
Sure.
If you had sold it to somebody, within the community, that would have been different. I wouldn't have been upset at all. But I'm glad that it stayed within the family, so to speak.
Yeah, for sure.
And that was my main concern, and obviously yours too, I think. So, which is why you had that placed on your heart to reach out to me. And I'm just glad that it worked out perfectly. I know I think the day before, I was praying about some of it, because I had thought that the tire shop was going to be the direction I was going to go. I was kind of confused about what the next steps were, where I'm supposed to go next. And I woke up to that voice message from you.
Wow. So, how far along were you in the tire shop purchase?
Let's see, I had done the site visit, and we were trying to decide if we wanted to do a letter of intent at the time. To essentially say, this is what we're going to do. And then after the letter of intent typically comes more due diligence of looking at accounting and books and the systems and procedures in place, what a transition process would look like. So that would have been the next steps. There were a few key factors as to why I didn't do it. But I think it's still an excellent business to purchase if somebody hasn't done it yet. It's just wasn't a perfect fit for me at the time.
For sure. And you were going to have your dad kind of run it for you, weren't you?
Yep. Yeah. So I needed to find some place where I didn't have to be full-time, just working 40, 50 hours a week in it.
Right.
And at the time, my dad was thinking about doing that with me. And the problem was it was about an hour away. And
so we decided,
that would have been too much for us to deal with. And it was a business we didn't know much about. It could have ran with the employees that were there. I think a 40, 50-year-old tire shop, family business.
Wow.
We've been crushing it. But it was something that there was just so many different things that would have been factors that I think would have been negative for us to try to deal with.
Yeah.
And I think this is why it didn't work out.
Yeah.
Legends was coming.
God knew you had a better opportunity right around the corner.
Yep.
Right in your wheelhouse.
Absolutely. And so I'm excited because there's a lot of things that I can do with Legends, as we've talked about, and as the announcements have come out with. And it is really right in my wheelhouse, considering my YouTube channel, Ask Jimmy Smith, and the Replens group, and just being a part of Legends for the last 5-6 years now. Pretty crazy.
That's awesome. I would definitely want to get into what your plans are for making the group better. And then you got a crazy promotion going on right now for people that want to join that will, I know I'm a marketer but it's true that this opportunity won't come along again because of the way you're going to change the group. So we'll talk about that here in a minute. So if you want to get in Legends, now is actually the time to do it, because we'll talk details, but the price is going to go up and it'll be that way forever. So you want to get in now if you're not in yet, or if you're already a member and you're listening to this and you're paying monthly, Jimmy's got a crazy deal to upgrade to the annual plan. So we'll talk about that and give you the website. But I'm curious, and tell me if you can't answer this or if it's something. But how did it work with you and your broker? Like, how did he get paid?
It was a percentage of the deal size.
Okay.
So same thing, I would assume, as the on your side. I'm assuming that's usually what I've heard anyway. So for me, it was a percentage of the deal size they got paid for.
Yeah. So he was working for free, essentially, hoping that he would bring you a deal that you were interested in and he would get paid.
Exactly.
Yeah. He earned his money on that deal, though.
Yeah, exactly. And what's crazy to me is both my broker and yours said, wow, this is a super easy deal, like super simple. You two know each other, you're friends, like I've been a part of it, but I still felt like it was a rocky road a couple of times.
Yeah, well, I talked to Matt about that. And so you guys are just kind of getting a behind the scenes tour of how it worked. Matt said it was easy. It was very easy, except there were some, hiccups with the bank and all that made it harder, but I don't think it was harder than other deals that they've dealt with.
Gotcha. Okay. It just probably seemed like it to us since we'd never done it before.
I guess apparently the bank was one that had not done deals like this before. And the banks that Website Closers uses are very much used to e-commerce. And there's some of the things that came up with our deal wouldn't have come up if we had a different bank, but hey, it's all
that's good to know. Yeah. So if anybody's got an e-commerce business, which I know a lot of people do, check out Website Closers because they're great. I've seen a lot of things come through. I'm actually on their email list. So I get
too.
Emails every day of.
Did you see the one yesterday? It was a $15.5 million podcast.
I did. Yeah. That was pretty crazy.
I think I know whose that might be. Do you?
You do? Okay.
Well, I could probably ask Matt and sign an NDA and get the information, but
right. And
I don't want to say publicly because I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But there's a guy that does a daily podcast, an entrepreneurial podcast, been doing it for a long time. And everything in the listing matches who I think. I'll tell you after we hit record.
Okay.
After we are done. In case I'm wrong. I don't want anybody to say, hey, Ryan said this. Right. But yeah, it's just $15.5 million podcast.
Which was crazy to me too, because the earnings and everything I thought it was like $2 million a year whenever that email came out. It was around 2, and that's a pretty big multiple.
That is a big multiple.
A business is 3, 2.5 to 4 is what I typically see on most businesses. But you got to see that be so high. Maybe it was $3 million instead of 2, but either way, it was higher than normal. But it's an interesting. And
again, it's just an asking price. It's just like a house, asking price. It doesn't mean that's what they're actually going to get, but.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just an asking price. And you can get creative with it sometimes too. There's a lot of different ways to structure deals that the brokers will help you with.
Sure.
Ultimately. So,
what advice would you give somebody? We've not talked a lot about buying and selling businesses on this podcast, but I agree with you. I love the wealth potential of it. And it seems perfect because you're buying in at a time that it's already gone through the hard part. So you're buying it after that. And so it's already, if you buy the right business, it already has a track record. It already has customers and should already bring staff along with it, and a proven history. What would your advice be to somebody like, I want to do that? Where did you learn some of this stuff? What sites can they go to? There's
a lot of stuff that's out there. Sorry if I interrupted the end of your question. But there's a lot of stuff out there. There's a lot of influencers too that are out there that'll say like, oh, go buy a dry cleaner or go buy this or that. And while it's great, I think that they kind of oversimplify some of that, and there's better businesses to purchase. So make sure to do your due diligence about the businesses. Don't just go buy something because you think that that's what somebody else told you would be best. I personally, since I work with Josh Tolley so much, who wrote Evangelpreneur, which is one of my favorite books out there, his podcast, Acquisitional Wealth, is one that I listen to. And so that is where I learned a lot of different information. I would also, there are a lot of people that have questions whether they think that they're too old to buy a business or too young to buy a business, or their life circumstances aren't perfect, that that to me are just more limiting beliefs. I know that there's people that buy businesses at 80 years old and they love it. There are people that are 20 and can buy businesses. There's questions like, do I have enough money to buy a business? Well, if you've got $0, there's partnerships you can create.
Absolutely.
There are, you can have somebody else invest money, or you can work with somebody that's trying to sell a business to give them percentage of revenue as an earnout of some sort. You can actually, with the right process and lawyers and stuff, you can take your 401k, you can then convert that into money to invest into a business. Now you'd have to set up the business as like a C corp, and again, you'd have to do this legally. You don't just go out there and try to do it without
Jimmy says
help.
I can do this.
Yeah, exactly. But you can make it a C corp, and then that 401k or IRA can invest into a business without you having to take out all the money and be
you're
penalized.
Not paying taxes on it. Then
exactly.
Right?
So people might not have any money in the bank, but
you have to have a self-directed IRA for that, or can it be any old 401k?
You can transition it, I believe.
Wow.
But you might have to be fully into the business at that point. I doubt you could continue working your regular job and do that. But there are going to be caveats with some of it, I'm sure. But I know people that are able to take their retirement savings that have maybe 50, 60, 80 grand in them or more, or even less, and use that as the down payment for a business. And if you get SBA pre-approved, it can be 10% down. So you could have 80 grand buying a business doing $800,000 in revenue a year, or no, not in revenue a year, $800,000 of a purchase price. You may be making 100 grand a year after that. You know? I mean, it just really depends on the business. So
you're just buying cash flow.
Exactly. So
there's really obviously there's not a lot of memberships for sale all the time. Let's pretend we're at the Proven Conference in July, Jim Cochran's group, and you're talking about buying and selling businesses, and so you got a bunch of Amazon sellers in the crowd. Not everybody's going to be interested in this kind of thing, but brainstorm with me some examples of businesses that might be. I know it could be a tire shop, which is totally outside of what they normally do in a day-to-day basis, but with those of us sitting in the crowd listening to you, and we have Amazon knowledge and e-commerce knowledge, what are the types of businesses that somebody could look at as an example of taking that knowledge and skill set and applying it to a real world business? What kind of things could we be looking at to buy?
Oh goodness. Okay, so there's a lot of different businesses. So actually, with the tire, I'm going to come back to the tire shop because I don't think a lot of people, maybe people would, but to me, the tire shop made sense because they had a storefront, right, with tires and car parts. I could have gotten wholesale accounts for car things with a retail store and also sold them on Amazon and a Shopify account that they didn't already have. I could have added tens of thousands, if not over 6 figures a month in revenue with the right partnerships because of the storefront and the name of that business.
Oh my goodness. You're looking real quick. Can you still do that with that? You had a short relationship with that owner. Could you still do an arrangement like that? Not buy his business, but could you say, hey, Mr. Owner, I went a different direction, bought this business. However, you have an incredible opportunity, sir. And I know Amazon, and I know because I did an NDA and saw your financials, or not even the financials, but you saw what he had access to. Could you still think that'd be a possibility to partner up with him in some way?
It could be if I had the time, that's the hard part, but I do think that absolutely could be. It could also be a situation where maybe they have another buyer and that buyer doesn't know how to do this, and they could communicate with the buyer that, hey, there's somebody that does, and maybe you get a small equity percentage in that business purchase without putting money down if they were open to it. If you've got the knowledge of how to sell on Amazon and even basic knowledge of arbitrage and wholesale, you can use just about any business to do that, offline or online. Now, offline to me makes sense from an arbitrage and wholesale perspective, whereas if you're buying an online business, it depends on the types of products that they're selling. But whether it's a bakery where you can buy a bunch of cake materials or food products, or it's a landscaping company where you can buy chainsaw supplies and motor oil and sell it, hazmat, or it's just about any type of business out there, I think that there could be a component of having a retail storefront just in your basic offices that could also be what you sell online.
Yeah, so at that point, you guess you'd want to grow and still grow the main brick and mortar store, but you're looking at the online potential that you can bring to it. And even if the brick and mortar broke even, or just at least did what it has done in the past, which is obviously still profitable, otherwise you wouldn't buy it. You don't even necessarily have to grow that at all. It's like, I know instantly I can make these changes and it's going to bring in thousands of dollars. Wow.
Yeah. And if the other thing too, whenever you're buying a business, especially if you're getting a loan, the bank is looking at not only can the business pay the loan, but can the business pay the operator enough to where they can, do well with the business. And so when you're buying something, even if you didn't grow it at all, you should have enough money left over to pay yourself well. But if you grow it 5 or 10 or 15%, then you're off to the races. The other thing too, and I'm not planning this with Legends at all, but with like a tire shop or anything offline, I would have been planning after 5 years to try to sell the business. So grow it 10, 15, 20% and sell it. If you look at it this way, and this is what excited me the most, but I also forgot it early on when I was starting to get a little concerned about looking at businesses. Let's say that you were to buy a business, you took out a loan, and it took you 10 years to pay back that loan, but and you never made $1 off of it of profit. You just paid back the loan and lived some other way, and made money some other way for like your own living expenses. Well, at the end of that 10 years, you have probably grown due to inflation, and you can sell that business for a similar multiple to somebody else. So let's say you bought it, I'm just saying for numbers sake, you bought $1 million business. You might be able to sell that $1 million business at the end of 10 years for 1.1 or 1.2 million bucks, even if the revenue never grew, because of inflation itself should cause some of that to grow a little bit.
Interesting.
So at the end of 10 years, you may have never made $1, but you could still sell that business for probably close to the same price that you bought it for. And now you have not only used the revenue of the business for 10 years, you also now have a big chunk of money sitting there, right? And so then you can take that, let's say it's $1 million and there's no fees or anything. There's a lot of caveats here. Take the $1 million, then you can buy a business doing $10 million a year because all you need is 10% down. So that $10 million a year business is probably cash flowing somewhere around $1.5 million to $2 million a year if it's 15 to 20% profit margins, right? And you add back all of the seller discretionary earnings. Like you can grow your revenues and your profits, your cash, way quicker than if you were to put it into something that is extremely volatile. But you have to look for the right business opportunities. And it just really depends on a lot of different factors. But if you find the right businesses, the ability to succeed with those investments is much higher. And I don't have the stats in front of me, but if I remember right, it's from, I believe, the IRS, that if a business has over 5 years in business and it's doing over $1 million a year, there's approximately a 95% success rate with that business. There's no real estate investment. There's no stock market investment that has that kind of a success rate. And I can find the article if I needed to prove it. But I wonder if I can find it real quick. But to me, that was very interesting to learn, and I'm pretty excited to.
That's so cool.
Let people know about it. But
so with the tire shop, real quick, would you have? Did you go as far? Whether you did or you might have done this later, but if you were mainly looking at, you can increase the sales because of what you know how to do online, would you have looked at gaps on Amazon for the types of products that person can get? Like, wouldn't you want it to be something that would be very hard for me as a regular Amazon seller to find? Like, it's like it may be hard for me without a tire shop to get an account with this company, but now that you are a tire shop owner, super easy. And would that have factored in of, the products that you'll be able to bring into that store or buy from that store and sell on Amazon are things that are not every other Amazon seller could get easily?
Yeah. So having a store like that would allow you to open up a lot of accounts that you can't normally open up without a brick and mortar store, and specifically without certain types of businesses too. The other thing too, if you buy a business like a bakery or a tire shop or a landscape, whatever, you can then if you start selling some of those products wholesale and you're doing well with them, you could private label your own and get even bigger discounts and sell them to your own customers physically, like in the store and on Amazon, and create listings. So there's huge potential there to build physical products brands in addition. So let's say you were to add that revenue stream of online business to these offline businesses. Well, maybe in the future, what if you want to keep the tire shop or the business, but sell the online version? You could potentially do that as long as it didn't break any contracts that required a physical location. You know, there's huge potential. My goal at the time, before this whole Legends thing came around, is to find a business that was doing offline, add about 10 to 20% of revenue using online and wholesale knowledge that I have. And then with that 10 to 20% increase in revenue, I could then sell the business for 30 to, I think it'd be about 30% higher than what I bought it at in 3 or 4 or 5 years, because I added so much to the, the revenue and the profits.
What about a wholesale business? Would that be a good fit for an Amazon seller? If you're already, let's say that you're buying wholesale from this company. A lot of these wholesalers are mom and pop type companies. Especially these niche type products. Would that be a fit? Like if you're selling these already, you know that it's selling well on Amazon. Why not see if the owners want to sell and you own the whole company?
Yeah, I mean, you could absolutely do that. I think that there's a limitless amount of possibilities if you're looking to buy a business. Like there's all types of different deals and creative things that you can do with it. I mean, I would love, there's tons of opportunity there. I think, one of the things that I'd like to do moving forward, once Legends is where I want it to be at in terms of the things I'm adding and some of the other things that I'm doing over the next couple of years, once I get through the first couple of years of owning Legends, is to be able to then take some of the revenue and partner up with other people and pool maybe 3 or 4 people together to buy a much bigger business that already has all the team in place. That's awesome. And you can do that through wholesale businesses. You can do that through online businesses. You can do it through. So would you try
to find things that are complementary, like you buy a prep center, or you buy a wholesale company, or you buy another Amazon group that does private label and join that? Now Legends is also a big private label community. Would those be types of things you'd be looking at?
You absolutely could. I would look at those. I would entertain those. There are a couple different strategies for acquiring wealth and through buying businesses. One is if you have a type of business, you can do a roll-up strategy where you buy basically competitors and you roll them into your business. Because of the economies of scale, you're going to make more money because you already have a bookkeeper and a lawyer and whomever, right? So that's one way to do it. Or you can kind of go a horizontal way where you're buying up some of your suppliers or complementary products. They aren't necessarily your competitors at all. So there's tons of options. I would probably look at things that would complement Legends and some of the e-commerce stuff. But I
so like a software company, like if you didn't own Replan Dashboard already and I did, that might be a perfect opportunity for us to either partner up or you just buying me out. Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. So cool. We could talk forever about this. Tell me about your plans for Legends, some of the things you want to, I mean, it's already a great group, but you have incredible plans to make it even better. So let's talk about that.
Okay. Well, yeah. So the reason I was so excited about Legends is because of the massive amount of content that's already in there, the massive amount of success stories, the family feel, etc. None of that stuff is going to change. And so I'm excited because I can continue to build on top of that. Some of the things that I've been doing over the last few years after the Replens course content and still helping out with the, running the Replens group for that course is learning how to build different streams of income, whether it's through acquiring businesses or through creating systems or whatever it might be. So some of the immediate changes that are coming, we're going to do more webinars. So weekly webinars. We have a content calendar that people can subscribe to once they're a Legends member, so they never miss one of the webinars, because with Facebook, it can be easy to just kind of overlook them.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm also going to be adding
from, we were doing twice a month before. Now it's four trainings a month now instead of 2.
Yeah. And it's also the same time every week and same day. So that way it's a little bit easier. That's a small change. The bigger ones are things like over the last couple of years, I did this thing called an Advanced Replens Mastermind, where I gave over 60 standard operating procedures that I used in my own Amazon business, and I trained people for 8 weeks the first time, 10 weeks the second time on adding systems, scaling, how to create their own, and using the ones that I was providing. That program by itself was a $3,500 program, and so I'm adding all of that content pre-recorded into the group on June 1st. So that's going to be all 60, I think 67 standard operating procedures at this point. And then there's 10 weeks of content, which was 10 1 to 1.5 hour calls.
By the way, do you need help? Do you need a VA to upload that stuff, or is it already somewhere that's going to be easy to access?
I mean, I've got it all, so I'd probably have to upload it anyway, someplace else for them to be able to get it.
Okay.
So I'll probably just do it myself. If there is a way to do it, I would, but I think I should be fine for that. Thank you. But yeah, so all of that content is coming over. And the other big change that I wanted to make with Legends is I think that there's so many groups out there that exist for new sellers, which is awesome. And Legends has amazing new seller content. What I don't see that exists out there too much is a group specifically for advanced sellers that have gone through Replens content, arbitrage, wholesale, a lot of the more basic proven Amazon course type things. And so I want the group to be focused on advanced seller content. So as people are growing and scaling their business, they're getting to be over $10,000 a month on Amazon, they have a place to go to learn much more about systems and having operations managers and growing into different platforms, which Legends already has content on, but doing more of it. And having a network of people that are doing this at a high level as well. So that's the goal. Anybody that's newer, that's already in the group, sweet, you can stay in. It's not going to be a cutoff, but in the future, it will be I'll have a minimum requirement to be able to join, because I want it to be so focused on what do you do once you have the basics of Amazon down, because there's tons of groups for basics of Amazon, tons of really great ones. Obviously, I recommend Proven Amazon course and my Silent Team community and the Legends content that is there now. But Legends has so much valuable stuff for advanced sellers, and I want to add more to it. So that's my goal, is to make it like the place to be once you become successful, doing over 10K a month on Amazon, so that we can grow it to much more than that and grow into different streams of income.
Yeah. Awesome. And the price is going up. I don't know. I know you probably may not be able to do a number or anything, but can you give us more details on?
Yeah. So June 1st is going to be when the price increase takes place. It will also
only for brand new member. If you're in Legends now, this doesn't even apply to you.
Correct. And same with if you're in Legends now and you've got a monthly membership, the monthly won't change either. So if you're on the older monthly pricing plan, you'll keep that as well. So that's why we're talking about this now, because June 1st, not only will the price go up, but I will be sending people to an application process to make sure that it's a good fit, because I want to be sure that if people are paying, especially something that's more of an increased price, and we're doing advanced content, that it's a good fit for everybody. And so that's what I'm doing starting June 1st and after. So the current promotion over the next couple of weeks, I've got some bonuses and stuff for people that were to sign up now.
As on the price increase, I know you may not want to give a number out right now, but is it, can you say, safe to say, significant increase?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's going to be over $1,000 of an increase for an annual member, and over $100 a month. And the reason is because of adding the 67 standard operating procedures that I've used in my business, 10 weeks of content. I mean, that alone's $3,500 program that I've done in the past. It's gotten really good success stories. There's going to be extra content. We're also folding in the eBay Treasure Hunting Profits group into the Legends group for free, which is typically $47 a month. That's going to be added into Legends for free now. So I'm just trying to consolidate a lot of things into one group. And, as much as possible, anybody that wants to join now, if you think you'll take advantage of it in a couple months, and you won't be able to now, it would still be the time to join now versus waiting, especially if you're underneath that $10,000 a month threshold. But if you're over it, that's where you're going to get a huge amount of advantage. moving forward after June 1st.
Yeah, for sure. So right now the prices and the promotion is you get to get in up until June 1st. Mm-hmm. Monthly is $197 a month.
Yep.
Yearly $1,970. Correct. And those are the current prices, and you can still get that current price up for the next, as we're recording this, for the next 2 weeks.
Yes.
So, awesome. And they can go to, where do they need to go to get that?
Yeah, you can go to
about the bonuses too.
Yeah, if you go to askjimmysmith.com/legends with an S, it'll be linked in the show notes. You will be forwarded to the promotional page. On June 1st is whenever it will forward to the application page. But right now, that link forwards to the promotional page. With that, there are multiple bonuses. One is we actually have a Legends conference coming up in 9 days from when we're recording this right now. So I don't know when this will go live, but it's on the 25th of May 2023 in St. Louis. If you sign up before that date, you'll be able to get a free conference ticket, plus I'll pay for the food. Typically annual members get a free conference ticket, but the food is not included. You have to pay for your own food and whatnot. So I'll pay for the food for you and your business partner or spouse. Also 2 free 30-minute Q&A calls with me at whenever of your choice if you sign up for the annual plan. A signed copy of my book, Side Hustle to Full-Time Income, which comes with a free audiobook and free mini course, as well as, now I'm blanking on the fourth one. I should open up the page.
Oh, the Replan Dashboard.
That's it. 4 months of Replan Dashboard for free, which is a software that I own. But that 4 months of Replan Dashboard for free can help you manage your inventory properly. So that's if you sign up on the annual. If you sign up on the monthly, which is the $197, you get 1 30-minute Q&A call with me after 4 months of staying in the group. And you also get a free signed copy of my book. So I'll send those out.
Just doing the math, looking at the values we place on these, because these are not just made up. Sometimes you got made up values like this is $20,000 in value. Like we looked at like what you actually charge for all this stuff, and it could be as little as $2,000 of free gifts, as much as $3,000 if you're on the higher plan of Replan Dashboard.
Yes. Yeah. The Replan Dashboard is so variable. We put like a range. Yeah. But yeah, and I don't do coaching calls one-on-one. So, this is something that I'm making that exception for this promotion, just because I don't have time typically, but I want to make sure that if anybody wants to get in, that they have the ability to do so, and hopefully some extra incentive to do some coaching calls with me.
So guys, go to askjimmysmith.com/legends. To grab that. So cool.
And if it's after June 1st, you can still go to that link. It just won't be a promotional thing. It'll be application at that point. So
if you're on my email list, you're going to get told about this. I want to make sure everybody on the email list knows about this. So don't worry, I'll barrage you with emails, because this is the best promotion that I think I've ever sent out. And so I want to make sure that if you want to get in Legends, now is the time to do it. You can do it later if you want. You'll just pay more. So
yeah,
rather you save the money.
Right. And I'm doing it now because obviously I know that it's easy for me to say, oh, look at all these things that are going to get added. But as the reason the price is raising is because we are going to be adding those things. And so anybody that takes that leap of faith now, I wanted them to be rewarded for that as much as possible, and to be warned that, hey, the price is going to go up. So I didn't want to just raise the price and not tell anybody. So, I'm excited for this because I know that it's going to add a lot of value. I'm super pumped for, what it's going to look like a year from now, and some of the cool content we'll do at the conferences. I will be talking more about acquisitional wealth and buying businesses in the group, and having Josh Tolley on, and potentially Matt and Joe. I guess I haven't talked to them, but I'd be happy to do that.
I'd be happy to do it. Yeah.
There's just so much content that I've got in the works. And I also want to point this out. I don't want this to just be me, the Jimmy Smith group. It is about elevating the members of the group to be content creators, as Ryan has already set up. The reason I'm able to buy this is because Ryan did that with me, with the Replens content years ago. And so I'm excited to be able to do that and continue that family-like atmosphere within the community. So yeah, super pumped.
We'll come back. We'll have you back on in a few months to tell how it's going. And also, I'm still going to have the Streams of Income podcast. I'm still going to be promoting Legends, especially if you have people that you want to have on as guests, you just tell me and we'll have them on, and we'll promote the group through it. Because I want to see these, I love, just like Jim, I love success stories. And I want to tell about it because I know you're going to make it so much better. So I'm excited.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, and there's also increased partnership too with Jim and some of this, so he's going to be a little bit more involved with calls and Q&A. So I've talked to him before, and he talks a lot about the replens and the basics of Amazon, but he's got a lot of knowledge on growing businesses and scaling and that kind of stuff, and he's excited to bring some expertise to the group with that as well. So if anybody knows Jim Cockrum, that will be also heading your way in the next few months. So I'm excited for that.
Awesome. Jimmy, thank you again, man. Appreciate you being back on, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate it.
You've been listening to Streams of Income with self-help author Ryan Rieger. From right here in the Dallas Metroplex, Ryan teaches several entrepreneurial courses and group coaching programs to students all over the world. Be sure to listen next week at the same time for Streams of Income with Ryan Rieger.